Hello, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Heather Fay, and I am the Botetourt Advisor and Regional Program Director. I am joined today by Tom Tanner, our Lead Advisor and Vet Biz Coordinator. You are here for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund and Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, pre-application and mini workshop. Few housekeeping items as we get started. We are recording today's mini workshop. If you will please keep your microphone muted as we are recording, and add any questions you had for the chat. And after this session, we will be sharing the slides and the link to the recording with you. And we thank you for joining us today. All right. For those of you that are not familiar with the Roanoke Regional Small Business Development Center, Tom and I serve with a team of folks that offer pro bono advising, low-cost training, and free tools to our region's small businesses to fuel our region's success. We assist businesses as they are going through all different stages of the business life cycle, whether they're starting, they're growing, expanding, or they're ready to sell or exit. We are here to assist them. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started with today's program. We'll get started with the Restaurant Revitalization Fund first, and then we will talk about the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. A few things you need to know. The Restaurant Revitalization Fund is a part of the American Rescue Plan Act. $28.6 billion has been placed in the fund, and $5 billion has been set aside for entities with up to $500,000 in gross revenue in 2019. At this point, the application portal has not been released, but we will be keeping you posted on when that does happen. So, what are the eligible entities? An owner or operator who has 20 or fewer establishments, a licensed facility or premise of beverage alcohol where the public may sample, taste, or purchase a product for the purpose of serving food or drink. Some of those entities are restaurants, food stands, food trucks, food carts, caterers, saloons, inns, bars, lounges, brew pubs, tasting rooms, tap rooms, and taverns. The businesses that are not eligible for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund are state or local government operated businesses, businesses who operate more than 20 locations as of March 13th of 2020, and businesses that received a Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, as well as public companies. So we hope that your business is eligible for this, to participate in this fund. So what can you do now to apply for the fund? You can go ahead and start gathering your paperwork together, and the documentation you will need are your 2019 tax returns, your 2020 tax returns if you filed them, your quarterly income statements for both 2019 and 2020, your audited financial statements, as well as those that are anticipated for your larger grant, certification stating that there is the uncertainty of current economic conditions that make this grant necessary for your business, and the eligible entity has not applied or received funds from the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant Program. And most importantly, you can start filling out the application for your DUNS number if you have not done that already, as well as register with SAM. The DUNS number is used to establish your company's Dun & Bradstreet file, which can help potential partners and lenders learn more about your business. And what is the SAM system? SAM is the System for Award Management, and it is an official website of the U.S. government. At minimum, to register with SAM, you will need the following information: your DUNS number. So before you go to fill out your profile on SAM, be sure to fill out your DUNS number, the paperwork to request that if you have not done that already. You'll need your legal business name, your physical address, the same that's on your Dun & Bradstreet record, as well as your tax identification number, your taxpayer name, associated with your tax identification number, and to be sure to review any tax documents from the IRS, such as your 1099 or your W-2. You will also need your bank's routing number, your bank account number, and what type of bank account you have, whether that's a checking account, a savings account, or an electronic funds transfer, commonly known as an EFT, as well as your bank contact information should the federal government need to contact your bank with any questions they have specifically around the electronic funds transfer. Okay. For those of you that are just joining us, feel free to post your questions in the chat, and Tom and I will answer those. Okay, and now we will transfer to the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. Okay, a few things you need to know about this program is this was part of the American Aid Act that became law last December. You must have been in operation on February 29th of last year, and the maximum per application is $10 million or 5% of the gross revenues earned in 2019. All right, who are the eligible entities for the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant? They are live venue operators or promoters, theatrical producers, live performing arts organization operators, museum operators, motion picture theater operators, talent representatives per the Economic Aid Act, as well as state or local governments who own something such as a historic home or a museum are eligible to apply. Those that are not eligible entities, that the business is not located in the United States and does not primarily operate in the United States. They don't contribute significantly to the U.S. economy. They were not in business as of February 29, 2020, and the entity is public traded or controlled by a publicly traded entity. They present live performances or sell products or service of a prurient sexual nature. All right, additionally, the ineligible entities are more than 10% of its gross revenues came from the federal government, or they are owned or operated venues in more than one country, more than 10 states, and had more than 500 employees. So that is a cap on this program for the states and employees. And again, to reiterate, the February 29th date of last year, you must have been in operation by. All right. Now keep in mind that you can apply for both the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant and the Paycheck Protection Program for either the first or second draw, as long as you receive those funds prior to you submitting your Shuttered Venue Operator Grant. Now, there's a lot of different requirements for this grant that we'll go over today. As I mentioned, the February 29th, you had to earn revenue in any of the first, second, third, or fourth quarter of 2020 that reflected not less than a 25% reduction from the same period in 2019. You cannot be a public company, cannot have an overseas operation, a maximum of the 10-state venue, and maximum of 500 employees. We wish it was 10, the 500, I apologize about that. And what you all can do now for the Shuttered Venues Operator Grant, go ahead and start gathering your documentation. You'll need your 2019 tax return, your 2020 tax return if you filed. If you have not filed, you must provide it when the filing is complete. Your quarterly income statements for both 2019 and 2020, your audited financial statements, as well as your indirect cost agreement. Now, this program does have venue-specific documentation that you will need to gather for the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant. And those include your floor plan, your proof of audio mixing and mixing equipment, any specialized lighting, your marketing materials, your box office and ticketing reports, as well as the state and local COVID-19 occupancy restrictions during this last year, as well as any contractual or consultant agreements, as well as individuals represented and the venues. Additionally, there are several forms that you will need to be prepared to fill out. And I have those listed here, the SF 424, the SBA Form 1623, and SBA Form 1711. And what can you do to go ahead and start preparing, as well as gathering all those other different documentation and paperwork for the shuttered venue operation? You can also go ahead and fill out your DUNS number if you have not requested that previously, as well as go ahead and start filling out your business profile in sam.gov. Please, 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 both of these programs are free. There's no fee for registration with any of them. Make sure that you're going to the proper website, and we will make sure that those links are shared with all of you after this presentation. For updates from the Small Business Administration that we share, we receive those and share those out with you. We encourage you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram. We post all of our recordings on YouTube, as well as post information on LinkedIn. And these, as you all have experienced over the last year, there's information changing almost daily. So please follow us, and we encourage you to sign up for a newsletter. We do send information out by email as well. And as I mentioned, Tom and I are part of the dynamic team here at the Small Business Administration. As I mentioned, Tom is the lead advisor for the Greater Roanoke area, as well as our Vet Biz coordinator. We have Cheryl Tucker, who serves in the New River Valley and Allegheny Highlands. Amanda Forrester is our director, and I serve in the Botetourt area, as well as the regional program director. All right. And that wraps up the presentation. So I'm going to stop recording and ask you all if you have any questions that we can answer for you.